morning, everyone. Good morning, ma'am. I am Valerie Ventura, and for today's topic, it's all about modern philosophy. We have perennialism, progressivism, and humanism philosophy. Before we proceed to our discussion, let me share this to you a short video regarding to our topic.
And when school is fun, you don't get kids waking up in the morning and say, oh, do I have to come to school again? So we embrace technology because it helps us make learning more engaging. I believe that when kids are engaged, when kids are interested, that's where learning takes place.
The goal of the teacher today is facilitation. That means facilitate students where they could get the right knowledge, how they could synthesize them, how they could discern the information that they get.
Velocity is defined as the rate of change of distance with time. Is it true or false? So I want you to tweet me your answer. So this is how you tweet. This is the format that you need to tweet. So you put in @ vote by tweet 1.
We look at technology very meaningfully, and we see how can we leverage this technology to make a very significant impact in the classroom instruction. I'll give you an example. In a classroom of 40, it is really impossible to get 40 students to ask 40 questions at one go. When we use the instant messaging tool,
Teaching is a profession, or maybe what they say it's a vocation, but it's something that you do where gratification is delayed. But the ultimate goal that I'd like to be able to impart to my students is that they should be able to always be the best in whatever situation they are. The aim of Teach for the Philippines is not just to put them inside the classroom, but alongside their teacher training is to train them to become a leader. Because eventually the goal is whatever field they prefer, they will still forward the cause of education and be involved in a bigger, wider scale of systemic change in terms of education.
So, as you watch the video, it talks about the philosophical belief of one teacher achieving what should be done in school and curriculum. What's the teacher want to impart to the student the knowledge, the ideas, and skills and values, and what should curriculum be. And some talks about the children's interests or the needs of the student, and it also talks about the learning. It is takes best when it is experienced or being rolled out by the student. So it also talk about the role of the teacher as a facilitator. So a teacher has different approaches when it comes to education. They use some technology to engage the student learning, so it is very meaningful. They also have different goals and objectives. They have set of beliefs and principles for teaching. So we proceed to modern philosophy. We have proponents including John Dewey, Robert Hutton, and Carl Rogers. So in modern philosophy, it gave rise to the diverse field that encompasses many different types of educational philosophies. Particularly, a modern philosophy is it focuses on what the teacher should teach, meaning the in curriculum aspects. We proceed to modern philosophy and education. We have here three types, which is perennialism, progressivism, and lastly the humanism philosophy. So we deal with first we deal with perennialism. It is a teacher-centered philosophy. Perennial means everlasting or something that returns year after year. So perennialists believe that perennialists teach ideas, concepts, and knowledge that are everlasting or enduring. So we are talking about some are like classics or old written works, and also the basics. So we're talking about everlasting perennial beliefs, enduring realities which are constant and not changing. So parang ganito lang yun. Example, the marriage is sacred. So it's a universal belief that humans wanted to impart to this student. So it teach something year after year. Ibig sabihin, same lang yung tinuturo niya, same idea, same ways of teaching and methods, same curriculum also. Because once again, the perennialist does not believe in changes. So imagine you're in the classroom. Think of one thing that going within the things that going within the classroom. Day after day, the teacher respect the same repeat the same thing over and over again. So walang pagkakaiba. Because I believe that the ideas and knowledge before are still relevant today. So it has a still implication. The society still has purpose as they were before. So we move on to that everlasting. The perennialism talks also that is a traditional way of teaching. So pag sinabi natin na traditional, andyan yung imparting of knowledge and skills without mostly considering the student's interest or needs, because it is a teacher center, which is nakafocus lang talaga sa teacher. There's no participation, which it's all about lecturing, and the concerns of teacher is give concerns on reading and information that is universal. It's like literature, religion, and alike. So the perennialism focus on 5 aspects. It focus on curriculum. So focus more on curriculum in a very traditional way of teaching, and the only concern is imparting knowledge and skills without considering the best interest of the student. The perennialist teacher gives importance in reading because it provides knowledge and understanding, and like the teacher history, religion, and like curriculum will focus on attaining cultural literacy, stressing student growth, and enduring discipline. Sample classroom activity, sample are like outdoor activities, just like that. And the role of a teacher is still respect for authority. You do what I say, you listen to what I say. You cannot give opinions or your knowledge about this. You should only listen to me. I don't care about you and your opinion and perspective. It delivers the lesson and teach and discuss while the student listens. Yun lang yung ginagawa. So, we move on to goals for student. The goals for student is it trains the student's intellect and moral development, able to discipline and themselves. The third is will gain the ability to develop a full range of rational powers. The fifth is educational leaders. There are Robert Maynard, Maxine, and Adler, and Jacques. Those are proponents of perennialism. Next, we move on progressivism, a child-centered instruction. Progressivism mostly became popular as a result of the work of John Dewey, 1897. Dewey believed what is in the experience that students had, and the fact that children will learn better by experiencing the idea firsthand. So progressivism is a student-centered compared to perennialism philosophy. It concerned with the interests of all the students. Unlike perennialism, does not adhere in learning through old books and practicing century-old techniques, which treats all the students equally. The role of a teacher is to facilitate learning, and the one who will generate a meaningful interaction in class, which incorporate activities and recitation. So anything that will engage about student are the one who will stress. They're the one who stress the knowledge, the one who are responsible of their actions, their in terms of how they acquire or gain knowledge also. So in progressive, it believed that the student who would be should be the center of gravity rather than accepting knowledge from the teacher, and explaining students are likely to improve their critical thinking and problem solving skills that will generate students to think ways and strategies to learn or to acquire knowledge. By this, we are allowing the student to use what they have, the knowledge and skills, so they can develop and grow more. It gives a sense of development, it's a sense and growth, just like I said before. Sa perennialist, focus lang siya sa isang estudyante. It doesn't allow group discussion and participation, while in this philosophy, student can work together. So progressivism is a child-centered instruction, but not only that, it is more on learning by doing. The proponent of it is John Dewey. we all know that. So learning by doing, the best purpose of it is proponent of it's John Dewey. John Dewey believed that a student learn best when it is experienced. There must be an executions of knowledge. So we move on to, I have a two videos here to support my discussion.
This might look like your average elementary classroom, but the way these kids learn is far from traditional. It's called progressive education and allows students to be more engaged in the learning process.
They want to learn, they find purpose in it, it's meaningful for them, and it's more enjoyable. And who doesn't want to learn because their curiosity is being satisfied?
Progressive education has been at Wycliffe Elementary for 40 years. It allows students to make decisions about the way they want to learn in the classroom. Teacher Maureen Gill says she encourages her students to do art projects because it makes them interact with each other. Wycliffe also combines their grade levels by using multi-age classrooms. Gill has both first and second graders in the same classroom.
It supports community because then the kids see each other in different facets, of their strengths and their abilities, and so they really support each other.
Fifth grade teacher Molly Hinkle says she challenges her students by making them think beyond the classroom.
We aren't using textbooks to find information. We're using more real-world resources that go beyond the four walls of the classroom.
Hinkle will have guest speakers come in to give her students more exposure to real-world learning. The informal method has been used in other schools within the district. The teaching staff says they are constantly looking at ways to make progressive education better. In Upper Arlington, Steve Wayne for NBC4.
Proceed to the next video.
Progressive education is child-centered, collaborative, socially responsible learning that really is project-based and really gets children to focus on their own learning needs as well as the needs of the others in the classroom. What is unique about an emergent curriculum is that emergent curriculum can build. It's integrated, and it can really highlight the strengths, the relative strengths of a class. So if you have a very musical class or a very artistic class, a teacher can have the freedom to explore those media while teaching math, teaching science, and really highlighting the relative strengths of the class, while at the same time imparting information that in a very meaningful way for the class. So a teacher's approach to progressive education is very exciting. A teacher takes the standards that one's looking for, but then she takes the interests of a class and is able to expand and ask questions and really go deeply into an exploration of a topic and really show the linkages, the history, the culture, how people are involved, the math, how time affected it. It's really, really, really exciting, and it's developmentally appropriate.
We proceed on the characteristic of progressivism. First is the emphasis on learning by doing, which I have discussed earlier. Second, hands-on project. Third, strong emphasis on problem solving and critical thinking. Fourth, collaboration and cooperative learning projects. And fifth, believe that humans are social animal. So hands-on project. We know that the progressivism philosophy is experiential learning rather than learning through facts and memorizations of concept. So it requires hands-on project-like activities that will allow students to be engaged and use their knowledge and skills in the process of learning. It uses real-world situation, which Dewey argued that education should not simply involve student learning mindless fact that they will soon forget. That education is a journey of experiences, as John Dewey suggested. It has strong emphasis on problem solving and critical thinking. Sabi nga natin, the teacher is the one who facilitates learning, and the student are the one that will be responsible on their learning, the one who will invoke and full learning through problem solving that will under essential and analytical render essential and analytical, critical thinking. Collaboration and cooperative learning projects. So instead of individual approach, focus more on group learning and project, which also give experiential learning and allow students to share their ideas and knowledge to one another, which is encouraging and engaging, helping them to develop the skills and their personal student personal growth. Yeah, and also allow them to manage their own thinking um, um, uh, and accountability also. I believe that human are social animal. I believe interactions and sustaining the relationship, which um it is valued by progressivism. Next is humanism. We have a supported video here. So we're gonna play this. And
Today we are going to discuss humanistic education. Before looking at humanism as a learning theory, we must first mention the base philosophy of humanism. Humanism is a philosophy that places importance on human beings rather than a supernatural being or deity. A person's moral compass or values do not stem from rules of religion, but rather from human nature and the human experience. Individuals give their own lives meaning, and it is our responsibility to live life in a way that will benefit the greater good of humanity as a whole. Humanists try to seek out the goodness of human beings and focus on reason and deduction when facing problems. Humanism came about during the Renaissance, a period from the 14th to the 16th century that boasted a major revival of literature, art, and learning in Europe. Humanists played a major role in the development of education at this time, believing that humans could be changed dramatically by education. Through studies of the humanities, such as history and philosophy, humanists pushed to create human beings of intellectual fortitude and honor. Now, the humanism learning theory was developed primarily through the work of Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. Maslow is best known for his hierarchy of needs, a theory that focuses on one's psychological health by addressing the primary and universal human needs in a pyramid order. Rogers was considered one of the founders of humanism in psychology and psychotherapy. He is also credited for his person-centered approach to understanding one's personality and human relationships.
So I'm gonna end the video here. So the humanistic theory in education. This theory and approach in education take root in humanistic psychology, with the key concept focusing on the idea that the children are good at the core, and the education should focus on rational ways to teach the whole child. So humanistic learning is a student-centered, just like progressivism. So students are encouraged to take a control over their education. They make choices that can range from daily activities to future goals. Students are encouraged to focus on specific subject areas of interest for a reasonable amount of time that they choose. So we have pioneers of humanistic philosophy. I was said in the video earlier, Abraham Maslow's proposed the hierarchy of needs, and James Bajental, Carl Rogers. So all of that take part in humanistic philosophy. So the humanistic learning theory was developed by Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers, and James Bajental. Humanism was a response to the common educational theory at the time, which were behaviorism and psychoanalysis. Abraham Maslow is considered the father of the movement, with Carl Rogers and James Bajental adding to the psychology later down the line. Maslow and humanists believe that behaviorism and other psychology theories has negative perceptions of learners. For example, operant conditioning and behaviorism psychology suggested that students only acted in a good or bad manner because of the reward or punishment, and could be trained based on that desire for a reward. So next we move on to 4 pillars of humanism. These are free will. We have free choice to do and think what we want. Emotions impact learning. We need to be in a positive emotional state to achieve our best. Intrinsic motivation. We generally have an internal desire to become our best selves. Last is innate goodness. Humans are good at the core. That's all. Thank you.